Sorry, I'm going to use this because it's the allergy season. My voice is. So yeah, we've talked about AI, we've talked about the ethics of technology, but there's one very important side of technology, which is advertising, and I'm going to talk about that and why that is and how it actually works. Um, uh,
Go down.
yeah. How many of you like seeing ads on your apps and websites? Only one person? I'll try and change that today. So I know you love, going through your apps, scrolling through social media, using search, email, maps to quickly get to the information you need, and all of that is driven by or funded by advertising because all of it is free and most everyone uses these services for free. So as an introduction, I'm Aradhita's dad. For those of you who know Aradhita, she's a junior here. I work at IB Tech Lab. I'm the CEO there. I've been there for about 10 years. Our vision is to build baseline foundational technologies that help support and grow the open internet, which is the independent publishers, independent websites, independent voices of the web. So that's what we work for. So I have been fascinated by this technology. Advertising is pretty complex and pretty interesting. I've been working in for more than 15 years now. So that's why I chose this topic. So I thought I could bring this to the high school here and help you understand what happens when you see an ad on a platform. And advertising has been around for a long time, right? So, and it is a great leveler, especially in a democracy. The media and entertainment revolution with TV, print, magazines, and radio, it was all funded by advertising. And after that, the information revolution, the access to information, free email, that's a big boon, came as a big boon for a lot of people. Access to maps to get around easily without having to pay for it, and bringing all of that to the masses, to everybody as an equal level, that is all being funded by advertising. And everyone has an ads business. So Netflix was bravely saying a few years back, they will never do advertising. They are doing advertising. Uber, which actually charges money, also does advertising. Instacart, which charges money for deliveries, also does advertising. And Prime Video and Apple, which is being openly showing ads around privacy and ads are not good, they have an advertising business worth a few $1 billion today. So advertising is a very integral part of media, entertainment, and now digital technology, and it has powered all of our applications that we see on your phones and websites, and access to information, and including AI. So there was famous ads in the Super Bowl where Anthropic was shaming OpenAI for introducing ads. So OpenAI is introducing ads, and I'm pretty sure all of them will do ads in some years' time. Even if they're not doing ads, the technology that is developed, like all of the core technology behind AI was developed at Google initially, and companies like Meta, all funded by advertising. So whatever technology you're using today, and even if it's AI, even if they're not showing ads, advertising has played a big role in development of that technology and getting it accessible to you at the price that you can afford. So let's get into what's an ad anyway. So ads, like, I describe them as like, you have a website, you want to make money, you put some holes on your page, and then you try to fill those holes with ads where you get paid. So essentially, ad is a financial transaction. It's a small check. Every time you see an ad, think of it as a small check being written to the owner of that website or that application. And this was the first ad ever. This was like I think 1994. It appeared in Hotwire. The ad was for AT&T. Have you ever clicked a mouse right here? You will, and we know that everybody's clicking on those ads today. So this was just an example, early 90s. And so what happened was, advertisers would create an image like this, or it would be a small HTML piece of code that somebody could put in their website. Easy, right? Like, just go to an advertiser, get thing, put it in a website. But what happens when you have like hundreds of thousands of websites, or 1 million websites, and you have like 6 million businesses in the US that want to advertise? You can't just go around and have people collecting images and or sending you code on email to insert in your website to make money. So what they did was they started building what they call an ad server. So now what happens is when your page, you get all these ads, you put them on your ad server. When a user asks for a page, the ad server selects the best ad for that user and then pushes that into the page. So now you don't have to manage each page, you don't have to put ads and images on each page. There is one central server that is able to push the ads to wherever it's needed. And then, of course, because advertiser is writing a check, they need to know that ad was actually shown to someone and ad was actually used. So now they have a problem, like how do they manage all these reports coming from these million websites? How do they actually write the check and ensure that they're writing the right check? So they built their own ad server. So now you have like two servers on both sides. So advertiser is now tracking each image that they send to these publishers and the report coming back. And so the machine can actually do the calculations and they can actually pay their publishers. So now you have, it's still simple, right? But now you have too many advertisers with their own ad servers and too many publishers with their own ad servers. And then it becomes a problem because now advertiser has to deal with like 50 publishers and their reports, and it's not 50, it's like actually thousands and hundreds of thousands. So we have something called an ad network that comes in the middle. They say that, okay, I can help you analyze all of this and consolidate all of this. So now you have a third entity in the middle that's called an ad network that's helping the flow of ads from the advertiser to the publisher and managing the reporting, managing the calculation of payments, etc. Okay, and so now what happens is it gets more complex. So you have all these things. Now the publisher says, okay, I'm making like $100,000 a year on this website. Can I make more? So we have something called supply side platforms. The companies come in and they say, okay, you're working with these three ad networks. I can help you make more money by trying to figure out which ad network's ad is to be shown first and to be shown second, and where to ask for the advertisements. So you have the supply side platforms that kind of help. Now you have like publisher, you have an ad server, you have supply side platform, you have an ad network, and you have 5 entities trying to do the same, serve the same ad. And at this point, it's important to understand the scale of this. So today in US, about average person living in US sees about 250 billion ads are served in a day in US. We typically would end up seeing about 6,000 ads in a day if you're an average 2 to 4 hour internet user. And you probably remember about 100 at most. But that's the scale of this. So every second, there are about 3.5, 4 million ads being shown in the US. So this has to be all managed, and all of these 5, 6 entities have to coordinate with each other to put that ad in front of the user. And everybody gets a smaller part of the check, a part of that check that goes out. So once this happened, the supply side, like the publishers started optimizing and getting more revenue, but the advertiser also has, the one that are actually spending the money, wants to understand and make sure that they're getting the return, that somebody's actually clicking and somebody's actually buying the products they're selling. So they created their own demand side platforms. So now you have like another entity. So you have ad servers, you have demand side platforms, ad network 3, supply side platforms 4, and the publisher ad network 5. So you have these 5, and there are some other things in the middle because of time limitations. I can't go into all of the details. I just picked up like high-level entities that are involved, and all of them are exchanging these messages. So every time you open a web page, it's about 100 milliseconds between which all of them have to coordinate, and which is like less than a blink of an eye, and actually have to decide which ad to show you and put that ad in front of you. And then what happens is, this is data management. So now the advisor is asking, demanding more, like, okay, I know that Shailley bought something from me yesterday, and he might be able to make use of something else. Like I bought shoes, they said you might want to have socks tomorrow. So you have these things called data management platforms, and that's where you hear a lot about things like surveillance capital and bad actors. And there are some bad actors in this business at that scale when you're dealing with thousands and thousands of companies and billions of impressions. It is a natural playground for bad actors to come in. But then you have like a 7th entity that's come in now that's trying to coordinate that same transaction. And then, in the late 2010s, we had all the, regulations on privacy come in. So, Europe introduced the general data protection laws called the GDPR. US now, I think 22 or 23 states have laws, and there'll be 28 states this year that will have regulations, with California leading with their CCPA regulations. So now you have these things called consent management platforms. They also need the data, and they are also now part of the transaction because they tell everyone like who has permission to access what data, what they can do with that data, and how they can show you what kind of ads you can see from them. So now you have these consent management platforms. So you have like 8 entities which are like really critical to any, and they're actually double of these. There are other small operations that happen, which I don't want to go into too many details here. But there are other entities that are part of this, and they all need the data because they all get a check, so they have to prove that they did perform the service to get the money that they need. And so you have like on a site or an app, you have all of these data going back and forth between all of these entities. So that's kind of the complexity of advertising, and I mean that's what I wanted to cover today, kind of give you an idea like what happens when you see an ad. There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of technology that goes into making that happen, and serve that ad to you, and help support the free internet and open internet. Thank you.